Welcome to MXF. I am your host, Katie, and today what we will be discussing is an article from the Business Insider called Five Budgeting Hacks I Learned from a Friend That Helped Me Save an Extra $1,000 a Month. This article was published back in July the 26th, 2024, and it will be linked below if you would like to read into it more in depth. How to save an extra $1,000 a month. Let's get into it. Number one, be realistic. So it says here, one of the biggest mistakes I routinely made when I tried to budget was vowing to spend a certain amount of money each month, which was just not realistic. It was always at least 25% less than what I had spent in the month before. Rather than trying to fix two habits of overspending and not sticking to a budget, my friend taught me to pick one goal at a time. Setting a budget that is in line with your current spending is a good way to get on track and stay organized. After that, you can adjust the budget to reduce spending in a certain category to help you save more money. I not only did that, but I also made sure to plan my budget around what I knew would pop up that month. Every single month, the amount I budgeted to spend varies. Some months I spend more and save less than others. I do the reverse. Number two, update your budget regularly. The art of creating a budget is not only a process, it is also something that can be super time consuming. Completely not true. It will take you some time, a few months, max 3 months, to actually get into the budgeting process. Once you start doing it more often and you know where your money is going and how each month potentially differs. So, continuing. Even if you use someone else's budget worksheet, you still have to adjust the categories based on what applies to you and also audit your spending so you know how to make the plan personalized just for you. Once I put in the hard work there, I usually found that I abandoned the budget a few days later, which is completely common. Instead, updating my budget and tracking my spending has now become a daily practice. Every night after dinner, I sit down with my Excel spreadsheet. I write down what I spent that day and soak in how my spending for the month is looking. This helps me be more aware and in tune with what's going on financially and not get surprised or shocked at the end of the week by any purchases I didn't plan properly for. So this makes a lot of sense here. When she's saying that she's going down, she's sitting to take a look to see what she spent that day. Now, depending where you are in your life, um, I find myself, because I'm working at home majority of the time, I'm not spending near as money as I would be if I was working in the office. But nonetheless, if I do go to the office, I pack a lunch. I hardly ever buy. Or if I am going to the office, sometimes my employer will be shelling out for some form of lunch for that day. Maybe it's a meeting or there's some form of event that's taking place, but I'll always try and find out what it is that they're serving because sometimes I don't like the food. So I'll always pack for sure snacks so I don't have to buy breakfast. And I might pack a little something extra in case I really don't like the food. Updating your budget nightly can be something that may work for you, just for a little bit, even, or it depends on how you are. When it comes to spending, maybe if you're a shopaholic or you're just really, really poor with money and you do find yourself spending every single day, this is probably the step that you should be taking in order to keep your financial goals on track, is to be sitting down every night and really soaking in how much money you spent. So when Friday rolls around and you need to maybe, I don't know, purchase your groceries, and then you look at your account and there's nothing left. And then you're going back and relying on some form of credit card that's potentially maxed or having to pull from a line of credit to pay for those groceries. It's something to really think about, and I think this is a great way to implement in your everyday life. It doesn't take long at all to start budgeting and then sitting down and tracking your spending every single night, because realistically, how much money are you spending every day? If you really think about it, like if you have to update a spreadsheet and you're pulling in your receipts from the day, how many receipts would you legitimately have? Maybe 5? And if you have 5, that's probably a lot and you're overspending. So moving on here. Number 3, it's okay to move money around. I always thought the secret to staying on budget was making sure you stayed very strict. According to my friend, the opposite is true, which is 100% true in my opinion. It's okay to look at your spending week by week to see what categories need to be adjusted. Let's say you have overspent in your dining category. If you are currently in debt, the dining should be completely at zero and you should be putting all that money towards something else like a credit card payment. Moving on. But you have been underspending in your clothing category. You can move the money from one category to another. I sit down every Sunday and move allocated money around based on my spending needs for that month. The less, no, the lesson, stay strict with the amount you've budgeted for that month, but be more casual about exactly where the money is being spent. So that is true, and I do that. So I have gone from the Gail Vox Oxley method, where I set up the jars. Don't get me wrong, I love the jars, and starting out, that is something that you can do. I can go over the jar method that Gail did set out. And then since then, I have moved more into the envelope route because it's just easier for me with the wallet that I have. So then that way, because I'm the one, basically, I do all the grocery shopping and things like that. My husband takes care of the gas and whatnot. So he gets the gas one, and I get the grocery and pretty well everything else. So for the grocery one, I will take out each week $180 where we live. We're only 2 people. That's more than sufficient. I'm also price matching, coupon clipping. It's amazing how much money things really add up when you start actually sitting down and looking for money or finding money, allocating money and what that means. So if you decide to go with the jar method or envelope method, each week you will have an allotted amount of money that you will set aside in either your jars or your envelope. So let's say that you have $200 for that week. That includes your gas money to go to and from work or wherever you may have to go, your food money, and whatever else you need to pay in cash, which you should start doing. It's just easier in a sense, because the pain point of when you're handing over that $20 bill, we're really sitting there and counting every single penny, where it doesn't hurt as much when you're tapping that card or swiping that card. It doesn't feel the pain when you're giving out the cash. The feeling inside is different. Try it, and I want to know how you feel if you start paying in cash, because there is a psychological thing that really does take place when you're paying for that cash, when you see what you have that week and you're like, okay, this is the budget. And then not only that, when you have that cash and there's no money left, or you're nickel and diming it at that point, you're like, okay, then you hands down can't overspend. So nonetheless, number 3, it's okay to move money around. So if you needed to move, a little bit of extra money within that week of, say, $200 that you have, instead of putting, I don't know, $20 in your gas tank, you needed for some reason to put 40, you can move some money around within that week only to cover the difference. And then you're just cutting kind of from somewhere else. Number 4, plan for the unexpected. I never had an emergency category in my budget. So whenever something happened that I didn't plan for, a health bill, a home repair, etc., I would get frustrated and abandon the budget. While we can't predict what might happen during that month, Putting aside a few $100s for any pop up or last minute expenses can help you stay true to your budget. Since I've been doing that, it's allowed me to feel less pressure and anxiety if something happens that I didn't plan for. I just pull the money from the emergency category and supplement the rest of that expense from my general emergency fund. Emergency funds. So, this is something that we all desperately should have and desperately need. How many of you have an emergency fund? If so, how much is in your emergency fund? And the next question is, how much do you think you need in an emergency fund? So, I don't know about you, whether or not you know about Dave Ramsey. Shout out to Dave. Love Dave and the Ramsey Solution people. When you're starting out and you're looking how to get out of debt and everything like that, his rule of thumb first is to create an emergency fund of $1,000. And the $1,000 isn't a forever emergency fund, it's a for now. So this is definitely for unexpected expenses. Things are going to come up. And having an emergency fund while you're trying to get out of debt, and yes, it's only $1,000. We've heard it all. $1,000 doesn't go far enough, blah, blah, blah. But chances are, depending on your financial situation, I guarantee you've probably never had $1,000 in your account as just a float. I am a claims adjuster, and I could not tell you how hard it was to hear people calling in whose deductible would apply for repairs to their vehicle and they didn't have $300 to pay for it. And again, you're right, $1,000 is not enough for an emergency fund, but it's a for now, it's not a forever. Eventually, once you are debt free and are able to build up that emergency fund, the rule of thumb is to have 3 to 6 months of expenses. So you need to sit down, see what all your expenses are, and then add that up and do 3 to 6 months. So then that way, if something comes up, you have the money to spend or to pay for it. Number 5, learn to say no. Having a budget allows you to know how much you can spend that month on everything from groceries to activities with friends. Having this sort of structure has allowed me to know in advance what I can say yes to and what I have to decline. It's made it much easier for me to say no to things in advance, whether it's events, happy hours, or weekend travel. If I didn't put it in to my budget and can't make it work that month by cutting back spending in other categories, it's a hard no. This has helped me save money throughout the year and not give into extra expenses that are nice to have but not must-haves. So that's a good one. Nice to have but not must-haves. So just to quickly recap. So to recap, 5 budgeting hacks I learned from a friend that helped me save an extra $1,000 a month. Number 1, be realistic. Number 2, update it regularly. Number 3, it's okay to move your money around. Number 4, plan for unexpected expenses. Number 5, learn how to say no. So if you would like to hear more on budgeting or whatever your financial question may be or day-to-day life, please do not hesitate to reach out. Please like, share, and comment. Thank you so much for listening to the MXF podcast. My name is Katie, and we will chat again soon. Thank you.